Now let us learn about musical sounds. And generally, you know that musical sounds will be produced by musical instruments. And maybe you know that many types of musical instruments will be there. Now, if you see, suppose A.R. Rahman studio will be there, and in that studio you can see many number of musical instruments. And if he is doing one concert, that means one event, definitely on the stadium, and that means on that floor, you can see many types of instruments. And about them, we are going to learn the arrangement of sounds of different frequencies called notes. Swaras generally in our daily language, so which are pleasant to hear, they will be called music. So the arrangement of sounds of different frequencies. Now all will not have the same frequency, and maybe you know that violin gives some kind of a sound, tabla gives other kind of a sound. Why they will be different? Because they will vibrate with a different frequency. That means different frequency sounds are there. So those different frequencies of sounds, so if you arrange them in a particular way, they will be called notes, swaras, which are pleasant to hear, and that is only called music. And there will be how many types of musical instruments will be there? Four types of musical instruments will be there. What those four types of musical instruments? Stringed musical instruments like a sitar, wind musical instruments, flute. So one example was given here. Membrane musical instruments. Membrane means some skin will be there. Membrane musical instruments like a tabla, and plate type of a musical instruments like a manjira. Maybe you know that like this we do. Plate type musical instruments will be there. So how many types of musical instruments will be there generally? Four types of a musical instruments will be there. They are nothing but stringed musical instruments. So strings means what will be there generally? Tell me what.
So there would be metal wires or
Right, metal wires will be there. So metal wires we use, or else some kind of a wires which are flexible, that also will be there. So generally they will be very fine wires. That means thickness of them will be very, very small. Very large thickness will not be there for it. For a stringed musical instruments, wire will be used. For a wind musical instruments, maybe you know that some kind of a holes will be there for it to have a flow of air. Wind musical instruments means which will use actually air, and air is made to vibrate with a different frequencies actually by using these particular instruments. And membrane musical instruments, generally in a membrane musical instruments, what will be there? Some kind of a skin will be there. Skin of animals will be there, and that will be used in these musical instruments. And plate type of a musical instrument, generally what will be there in this? Some kind of a metal disc will be there. So in a stringed musical instruments, wires will be there, and in a wind musical instruments, air will be used, and in membrane musical instruments, the skin of a few animals will be there, and in a plate type musical instruments, metallic plates will be there. Now, so in this way, how many types of musical instruments will be there generally? Four types of musical instruments will be there, and they are nothing but stringed musical instruments, wind musical instrument, membrane musical instruments, plate type musical instruments. So let us learn one by one about them. Now this is Veena. Tell me which type of, not Ronak, I will ask others. Tell me, Veda, which type of musical instrument it is? Veena.
It's a string instrument.
Right, it is a string instrument. Why? Because in Veena, what will be there? Some strings will be arranged, isn't it? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now about a violin. What type of musical instrument it is? Alex?
Stringed.
It is also string only.
Yes, sir.
Right, strings will be there for a violin also. Okay, so this is string type instrument. Now flute and mouth organ is there. What type of instruments they are? Alex,
Wind.
Wind.
right, wind blowing instrument. Generally, you know that in the mouth organ means you blow air into that, and even into flute also you will blow air into that, isn't it? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now stringed instruments finished. Now wind instruments finished, and after that, this is drums.
Stretched membrane.
Right. These are nothing but membrane type of a musical instruments. Now only how many types of musical instruments came? Only three types: stringed musical instruments, wind musical instruments, membrane musical instruments, and plate type of musical instruments were not given in this diagram. Plate type are also there here. Can you see them? Plate type musical instruments in this. So this is a plate type musical instrument, and this is a membrane type musical instrument. This is also membrane type musical instrument, and this is a plate type of musical instruments. So all types of musical instruments were given here: string musical instruments, wind musical instruments, and membrane musical instruments, and plate musical instruments. Now tell me, all these will produce only one frequency or different frequencies?
They will produce different frequencies. For example, if you look at the violin, different strings will give out different frequencies. Some will give a lower frequency, which gives a lower pitch, and some will give out a higher frequency, which gives it a higher pitch.
Right. So all will not give same frequency at all the times. Different frequencies will be given, and maybe you know that if flute is there like this, and if you close this one, and if air is blowing through other holes, then it will give one type of a frequency, and if you close this hole, then it will give other frequency. So like that, we will arrange frequencies in a particular order, and we can be able to produce a pleasant sound to hear, and that will be called musical sound. Okay, so all will not gives out the same frequency all the time. Different frequencies will be given, and they will give sound waves which are pleasant for our ear, and all these are different types of musical instruments. And now let us try to understand one question here. A tightened string instrument produces sound of lower frequency or higher frequency or same frequency or none of these. A tightened string instrument. That means whatever violin will be there, no? Violin and guitar, like that, whatever strings are there, those strings will be very, very tight, well, not very loose. So whether they give uh, higher frequency or lower frequency.
The higher frequency.
Right. So tighter string instrument generally produces higher frequency sounds.